I've always lived on the edge of the woods in a quiet town, where the trees seem to swallow the horizon. My name is Alex, and for most of my life, those woods were just background noise, rustling leaves, distant birds, nothing more. But last fall, something changed. It started with a whisper. It was a chilly evening in October. I was out on the back porch, sipping coffee after a long day at work. The sun had dipped below the trees, leaving everything in that gray twilight haze. I remember freezing mid-sip because I heard it. My name, Alex. Soft, like it was carried on the wind. I set the cup down and listened. Nothing, just the usual forest sounds fading into night. I shook it off as my imagination. Maybe an echo from a neighbor. But deep down, it didn't feel right. The voice was too clear, too close, yet somehow far away. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. The window cracked open for fresh air. Around 2 a.m. it came again. Alex. This time, it was drawn out, almost pleading. I bolted upright, heart pounding. I grabbed my phone and shone the flashlight out the window toward the tree line. The beam caught nothing but shadows and swaying branches. No one there. I closed the window, locked it, and tried to convince myself it was the wind playing tricks. But sleep didn't come easy after that. The next day, I mentioned it to my friend Sarah over lunch. She laughed it off, said it was probably kids messing around or an animal call that sounded human. You live too close to those woods, Alex. It's getting to you. Maybe she was right. I decided to ignore it. But that evening, as I walked my dog along the path near the forest, it happened again. Alex. Louder this time, from deeper in the trees. My dog, Rusty, stopped dead, ears perked, staring into the darkness. He whined softly but wouldn't budge toward it. I pulled him back home, my skin crawling. Over the next few weeks, the calls became more frequent, always at dusk or in the dead of night. Never during the day. I'd be cooking dinner, and it'd drift in through the open kitchen window, Alex. Or reading in the living room, and it'd echo faintly from outside. Each time, it sounded a little closer, a little more insistent. I started closing all the windows, drawing the curtains. I even set up a trail camera on the porch, pointed at the woods. When I checked the footage, there was nothing. Just leaves blowing, a deer wandering by once. But on one clip, right at the edge of the frame, I swore I heard it. My name, whispered so softly the camera barely picked it up. I researched online, looking for explanations. Old folklore from the area talked about spirits in the woods, things that mimicked voices to lure people in. Lost hikers, they said, or worse. I dismissed it as superstition, but it planted a seed of doubt. What if something was out there, watching, waiting? I stopped going near the tree line. I parked my car closer to the house. But the calls didn't stop. They got personal. One night, it wasn't just, Alex. It was, Alex, come here. Like someone I knew was calling me from the dark. By November, the dread had settled in like fog. I wasn't eating much, wasn't sleeping. My work suffered. I'd zone out during meetings, half expecting to hear it even in the office downtown. Sarah noticed and suggested I see a doctor. Maybe it was stress or tinnitus, but I knew it wasn't in my head. Rusty refused to go outside after dark now, scratching at the door only in daylight. One evening, I forced myself to confront it. I grabbed a flashlight and my phone, recording as I stepped off the porch toward the woods. The air was thick, cold. Leaves crunched under my boots. Alex. It came from maybe 50 yards in, clear as a bell. I called out, "Who's there?" Silence. Then again, "Alex, help me." My blood ran cold. It sounded hurt, desperate. I pushed forward, branches snagging my jacket. The flashlight beam danced over trunks and underbrush. Deeper in, the calls grew louder, guiding me like a twisted breadcrumb trail. "Alex, please." My heart hammered. I shouldn't have gone in, but I couldn't stop. What if someone really needed help? The woods thickened, the path narrowing until I was bush hawking. Then, abruptly, the calls stopped. Dead silence. No wind, no insects, nothing. I spun around, disoriented. The house lights were gone from view. Panic set in. I shouted my own name, stupidly, trying to orient myself. That's when I heard it. One last whisper, right behind me. "Alex." I ran. Branches whipped my face. Roots tripped me, but I didn't stop until I burst out onto my lawn, gasping. I locked every door, barricaded myself in the bedroom. That night, the calls didn't return. In fact, they haven't since. It's been months now, and the woods are quiet again. But I can't shake it. I dream about that voice, about what might still be out there, waiting. Sometimes, when I'm alone, I catch myself listening for it. And in the silence, I wonder if it's not calling because it doesn't need to anymore. Maybe it's already found what it I married Tom in a small town, where the old ways still whispered through the hills. We were happy, or so I thought. But one night, he dragged me from a hidden auction in the woods, where men in shadows bid on lives like mine. He saved me from being bought. I wish he hadn't. My name is Mary, and this is what happened after. It started with the arguments. Tom and I had been married 5 years, living in that creaky old house on the edge of the forest. He worked long hours at the mill, came home smelling of sawdust and regret. Lately, he'd been distant, staring out the window into the trees like they held answers. One evening, over dinner, he mentioned the gathering. Just some folks from town, he said. Old traditions. I pressed, but he shut down. That night, I heard him whispering on the phone in the basement, words like offering and price. I told myself it was nothing. A week later, he said we were going for a drive. It was dusk, the sky heavy with clouds. We parked at an old trailhead, and he led me into the woods. Trust me, he said, his hand tight on mine. The path narrowed, lanterns flickering ahead. We emerged into a clearing ringed by men in dark coats, faces half hidden. In the center, a wooden platform like an auction block. Women stood there, 3 of them, eyes downcast. A tall figure in a hood called out bids. Lot 1, strong back, quiet spirit. Starting at 5. Numbers flew, not money, but years, favors, secrets. It hit me, they were selling souls, or something close. Folklore I'd heard as a kid. The hidden markets where debts were paid in flesh. Tom pushed me forward. This is how we fix things, he muttered. The mill's closing. We need the luck. I froze. He was offering me. Bidding started low, voices murmuring from the shadows. 10 years of fortune, a child's health. My heart pounded as the hooded man nodded. Sold to the bidder in black. A figure stepped forward, cloaked, features obscured. But before the gavel fell, Tom shouted, "No." He lunged, grabbed my arm, and we ran. Branches whipped our faces. Footsteps thundered behind. We made it to the car, tires spinning on mud. I couldn't do it, he gasped. I love you too much. Back home, he bolted the doors, drew the curtains. They won't come, he said. It's over. But that night, as we lay in bed, I heard it, a soft knock at the door. Distant, insistent. Tom pretended not to notice. I didn't sleep. The next morning, everything seemed normal. Tom went to work, kissed me goodbye, but the house felt wrong. Shadows lingered in corners where they shouldn't. I found a small mark on the front door, a charred handprint, like from a fire long ago. I scrubbed it, but it wouldn't fade. That afternoon, while cleaning, I heard whispers through the vents. Faint, like wind carrying voices. Bought, paid. I checked outside. Nothing but trees swaying. Tom came home early, pale. The mill's staying open, he said. Boss called it a miracle. He smiled, but his eyes were hollow. That evening, the knocks returned, closer. From the windows now. We ignored them, ate dinner in silence. In bed, the whispers grew. Return what's owed. I asked Tom what he'd done. Nothing. He lied. But I saw the fear. Days blurred. Good things happened. Unexpected money in the mail. A promotion for Tom. But the knocks persisted, moving inside. From the walls, the floorboards. One night, I woke to find the bedroom door ajar, a shadow slipping out. Tom was asleep, but his hand clutched mine too tight. The next day, I found scratches on the basement door, deep, like claws. Down there, amid boxes, I discovered an old book, yellowed pages on local lore. The buyers in the wood, spirits that trade in lives. Once bid, the debt must be paid. To retract invites the claim upon the savior. I confronted Tom. You knew. He broke. It's an old pact. Families here have done it for generations. I thought I could, but I saved you. Save. The whispers laughed that night, echoing in my head. He paid instead. The changes started subtle. Tom's skin grew sallow, eyes sinking. He ate less, stared into nothing. The knocks became footsteps, pacing the halls after dark. I barred the doors, but they'd creak open by morning. One evening, as rain lashed the windows, the power cut. In the candlelight, I saw it, a figure at the table, cloaked like the bidder. It didn't move, just watched. Tom whispered, "Don't look." But I did. Under the hood, a face like ash, eyes burning coals. We tried to leave, packed the car at dawn, but the engine wouldn't start. Tires flat, slashed by unseen hands. The phone lines dead. That night, the figure appeared closer, in the living room, seated on the couch. Whispers filled the air. The price is due. Tom screamed at it. Take me, not her. Silence fell. The figure nodded, slow. Tom vanished the next morning, his side of the bed cold, clothes gone. I searched the house, the woods, nothing. But the knock stopped. The whispers faded. Luck poured in, inheritance from a forgotten relative, job offers flooding my inbox. The house felt light, Shadows gone. It's been months. I'm alone now, thriving on the surface. But sometimes, in the quiet, I hear footsteps again, not outside, but inside me. A hollow ache, like something nesting. I look in the mirror, and my eyes flicker with embers. Tom saved me from being bought, but the debt shifted. Now, whatever bought him, it's buying me from within. And I wonder, how long until it claims the rest? My daughter Lily died on a rainy Tuesday in March. She was only 7. A car accident. Quick, senseless. The kind that leaves you hollow. We had her cremated because she loved the idea of being scattered somewhere beautiful, like the sea or a meadow, but I couldn't bring myself to do it right away. The urn sat on the mantel for months, a small white box that seemed too heavy for what was left of her. That's when I met the artist. His name was Elias Crow. He reached out through an old mutual friend after hearing about Lily. Said he specialized in memorial pieces, paintings that incorporated a loved one's essence. Not just ashes and resin, he told me over coffee in a quiet cafe. I mix them into the pigments. The color becomes unique, alive with their memory. It sounded poetic, almost healing. He showed me photos of his work, soft landscapes, portraits where the subject seemed to glow from within. I was grieving, desperate for anything that felt like keeping her close. I agreed. He asked for a small amount of the ashes, just enough for one painting. I gave him a teaspoon from the urn, sealed in a vial. He promised to create something she would have loved, a meadow under a starry sky, with wild flowers she used to pick. It'll be her, he said, part of her forever on canvas. I left feeling lighter than I had in months. Weeks passed. Elias sent updates, sketches, color tests. The tones were unusual, warm golds and deep purples, that shifted in the light. The ashes add depth, he explained. They catch the eye in ways regular paint never could. I didn't question it. Grief makes you trust strange things. Then the painting arrived. Came in a plain wooden crate, wrapped carefully. I unwrapped it in the living room, alone. The canvas was larger than I'd expected, 3 feet wide. A vast meadow at twilight, stars beginning to prick the sky. Wild flowers dotted the grass, vivid and delicate. In the center, a small figure, a child in a white dress, back turned, hair catching the last light. It looked exactly like Lily. The colors were impossible. The purples in the sky held flecks that shimmered like embers. The greens in the grass seemed to breathe. I stared for hours. It felt alive. Too alive. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept the painting covered in the hallway, but around 3 a.m., I heard it. A faint scratching, like fingernails on canvas. I told myself it was settling wood, the house cooling. But the next morning, I uncovered it. A single wildflower in the foreground had changed. Its petals were slightly more open, as if blooming overnight. I laughed it off, light playing tricks. Grief hallucinations. Maybe. The changes continued, subtle at first. The child's dress rippled as if in a breeze that wasn't there. The stars brightened. One evening, as I sat staring, the figure turned. Just a fraction. Her profile now visible. It was Lily's face, but older, sadder. I backed away, heart hammering. I called Elias. He sounded calm. Sometimes the essence lingers, he said. It finds its way through the paint. She's saying goodbye in her own time. I wanted to believe him. I needed to. But the scratching grew louder every night. Not random, rhythmic, like someone trying to get out. I started sleeping with the lights on, the painting facing the wall. One morning I found smudges on the canvas, tiny fingerprints, child-sized, pressed from the inside. As if someone had pushed against the paint from within. I touched them. The surface was warm. I confronted Elias at his studio. It was a converted warehouse on the edge of town, dim, cluttered with canvases. He was working on another piece, brush in hand. I demanded answers. He set the brush down slowly. I use what they give me, he said. But sometimes the ashes aren't just color. They're memory, pain. They want to be seen. He showed me his arms, faint scars, like brush strokes etched into skin. I've painted with many. They all leave something behind. I left shaken. That night, the scratching became knocking, soft, insistent. I uncovered the painting. The child was facing forward now, eyes wide, mouth open in a silent scream. The meadow had darkened, flowers wilted, sky bruised. And in the paint, faint lines appeared, words, scratched in. Let me out. My hands shook as I covered it again, but the knocking didn't stop. I tried to destroy it. Took a knife to the canvas in the backyard at midnight. The blade slid off like it was cutting water. The paint reformed, the figure staring at me, pleading. I dropped the knife and ran inside. Locked every door. It's been weeks. The painting hangs in the attic now, wrapped in blankets, face to the wall, but I still hear it. The scratching, the faint whispers through the floorboards, my name, then hers. Lily. Sometimes I catch myself standing outside the attic door, listening, wondering if she's trapped in there, or if part of her always was. I don't know what Elias did exactly, if he mixed the ashes wrong, or if he knew. All I know is the painting isn't finished, and whatever's in it, it's still trying to finish itself.